Bruce?
Okay, awesome. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. This Sunday is Palm Sunday, April the 5th, and today's sermon will be done by me. It's called Naming the Unnameable. And this month's new theme is God and the Divine. So, if we could all say this in unison.
With sound or without sound?
Let's do it with sound.
Okay.
Ready? We light this chalice
for
our children and youth, and for us celebrating
The flame of faith
in each of
lit
us,
in each of us,
honoring the light
honoring the light each of us
brings into
the
the
world,
world,
rejoices in the
in the
community
community we
together.
create.
We all can see that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so we can do Jordan's turn. If you would like to speak, you can click participants and raise your hand.
Can you see me?
Uh-huh. You wanna speak, Linda?
But I'm muted. Just a minute.
I got you.
Oh.
You're unmuted now.
I'm unmuted. Okay. I have a concern for our next door neighbor. His name is Charlie Johnson, and he's in the hospital with not with the coronavirus, but he's had a triple bypass. He's had bypasses before, so he's got a very bad heart condition, but he actually seems to be feeling a lot better already, and we're hoping he comes home. He does live next door to us. So keep him in your thoughts and your hearts. Thank you.
Mike? You gotta unmute.
Yes. Well, I was just reading today about the fears that the coal miners are having. So many of the older coal miners have black lung. My father suffered all of his older life with black lung, and it was really a terrible, terrible affliction to not be able to walk from the living room to the kitchen without sitting down to catch his breath. And now the coal miners are worried that the virus is coming, and I'm afraid a lot of the old coal miners are not going to survive this virus. So I was just having a great concern for the coal miners.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, Diane?
Yeah, I have a sorrow. This week was the first week that somebody that I know died from the coronavirus, and two people that I know of but are not friends of mine. And so that's brought it really home to me that, three people that in 1 week. So that's kind of how this thing goes, I guess.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that. Anyone else? All right. No one else? Remember to keep your thoughts and prayers for the concerns mentioned and also for those unspoken. Oh, I'm say this. All together. For the joy shared,
we
in
join in celebration. For
the sorrows and concerns
spoken here,
you feel our sympathy and compassion. For all that remains
unspoken,
both joy and sorrow, may the caring of our community offer you both kindness and hope. Awesome. So here's our first reading for today. Why do you go to the forest in search of the divine? God lives in all and abides with you too. As fragrance dwells in a flower or reflection in a mirror, so the divine dwells inside everything. Seek therefore in your own heart. And that's by Teg Bahadur, which is one of the Sikh sources. All right, so we have this hymn. I would like everyone to sing to themselves. I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone. Emily is going to lead us. Oh, you don't? Okay, never mind. She wants us to just play the video. So hopefully that sounds okay. So this is number 188. Come, come, whoever you are.
This is one that you know. Come, come, whoever you are. Wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come.
Awesome. All right, so have a responsive reading. It's called Brahman, number 611. I will read the regular, and you all can respond with the bold.
With muted or unmuted?
I don't know. Let's try it unmuted and see.
Okay.
All right. I am the self that dwells in the heart of every mortal creature. I am the beginning, the lifespan, and the end of all.
I am the radiant sun among the light givers.
I am the mind.
I am the consciousness in the living.
I am death that snatches all. I also am the source of all that shall be born.
I am
time without end.
I am
the sustainer.
My
face is everywhere.
I am the beginning, the middle, and the end in creation. I am the knowledge of things spiritual.
I am glory, prosperity,
beautiful,
memory,
intelligence, steadfastness,
and forgiveness.
I am the divine seed of all lives. In this world, nothing animate or inanimate exists without me.
I am the strength of the strong. I am the purity
of the good.
I am the knowledge of the knower. There is no limit to my divine manifestations.
Whatever in this world is powerful, beautiful, or glorious,
that you may know to have come forth
in the fraction of my power
and glory.
And that's from the Bhagavad Gita. All right, so we have a meditation, and if Bruce has his guitar, which he does, hopefully my dog's not too loud, scratching himself. Oh, this is how we are called. Kimberly Bayer Nelson. hours before the birds stream airborne, chiming voice, a silent breath rests in the pines and upholds the surface of the lake, as if it were a fragile bubble in the very hand of God. And I think this is how we are called. Keep our hands and hold this peace, even when the sirens begin, even when sorrow cries out, old and gnarled, even when words grow fangs and rend. Cupped hands gently open, supporting peace like the golden hollow of a singing bowl, like the towering rim of mountains, cradling the slumbering and mist-draped. So if you'd like to sit silently and either meditate or pray for 2 minutes. I'd like to slowly make your way back. Well, that's a wake-up call. Sorry about that. It was really nice to hear the birds when you played, Bruce. I think that was your birds.
Yeah, I can't help the birds, but I'm glad that it complimented.
Yeah, it was nice.
I enjoyed the birds.
Well, when I was working for remotely as a consultant, and I was working out here on the porch, and sometimes the bird got in the way of the meetings. But I'm staying mute because of that reason.
Cool. Sorry, I thought I had this pulled up. All right, so naming the unnameable. Reverend Ann Felton Hines. At the end of our 7 Unitarian Universalist principles, there is a section referred to as our sources. These are the roots that inform and enrich our UU faith. The very first of these roots is direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. But just what is this transcending mystery we are to experience? What name do we give it? How are we to recognize it? Many, probably most of us, were raised with only one name for this elusive mystery, that which is larger than our mere selves, and that name was God. And if we were Jewish, we may have been taught that we could not even utter the word. I suspect that most of us were raised with only one image of that God as well, and that was an old white man with a long white beard, at times loving, but also judgmental, angry, and even cruel at times. I often remark that God has a passive-aggressive sense of humor. For some, this God was unpredictable, never consistent with his love or his anger. It was a bit like living with an alcoholic parent. There was no way to have a family intervention with this parent. He was too omnipotent. These conflicting images of God came alive in the stories of the Bible, particularly in the Jewish scriptures. There was Job's God in the guise of a great whirlwind with an angry and booming voice. Where were you when I created the heavens and earth? He responds to Job's complaints of unfair misery. Have you ever given orders to the morning or visited the storehouse for the snow? God goes on like this at some length, listing in detail all the wonders he created and reminding poor Job that he doesn't stand a chance in the presence of such power. Conversely, there is the God of Elijah, who is not found in the great and mighty wind or the earthquake or fire, but rather in the still small voice within. And of course, the God of Moses, who appears as a burning bush that doesn't really burn. It's neither frightening nor comforting, but does get Moses' attention. Our hymn book, Singing in the Living Tradition, is strewn with a variety of names for this transcending mystery. I counted over 80 in the hymns alone. Names like Immortal Love, Soul's Shelter, Power of My Power, Weaver of Our Lives' Design, Maker of Rainbows, Spinner of Chaos, Midwife of Changes, Straight-Talking Lover, the Great Musician, Calm Soul of All Things, Fount of Every Blessing, Author of Creation, Help of the Helpless, Fount of Justice, Brooding Sadness, Carpenter of New Creation, Creative Love, Rolling Cloud of Night beyond all naming, and yet we still yearn to name it. Perhaps every religion has struggled to imagine the eternal, the mystery that cannot be fully comprehended and cannot be adequately named. One of my favorite images of the divine comes from my colleague Carolyn Colbert, who points out that one manifestation of divinity in the ancient Celtic tradition was the great fool. Salvation was obtained not through reason, but by what Colbert called a sort of divine madness, inspiration, folly even. I, like many of you, was raised with the images of God from the Bible, the punitive creator of Adam and Eve, the all-powerful and capricious Yahweh of Job, and the tender father of Jesus. But over the years, I found those images too limiting and began searching for others that would speak to me in a language I could hear. During my first year of seminary, I took a class in which we were asked to draw a picture of God. After pondering for a while, I finally drew a circle of people, 6 figures to be more honest. The circle of humanity would be my God. A couple of years later, when again asked to draw a picture of God, I drew a tree. And that has remained the image I most closely relate to the eternal. It feels strong to me and at the same time sheltering. Both male and female grounded in the earth and reaching upward to the stars. When I die, it is beneath a tree that I hope to be buried. But even that image alone is too limiting. And so I turn to the poets. Our namesake, Ralph Waldo Emerson, both a Unitarian and transcendentalist, spoke of what he called the oversoul. Let us learn the revelation of all nature and thought, that the highest dwells within us, that the sources of nature are in our As there is no screen or ceiling heads in the infinite heavens, so there is no bar or wall in the soul where we, the effect, sees and God, the cause, begins. Within us is the soul of the whole, the wise silence, the universal beauty to which every part and particle is equally related, the eternal one. When it breathes through our will, it is virtue. When it flows through our affections, it is love. From Denise Levertov, intricate and untraceable weaving and interweaving, dark strand with light, designed beyond all spiderly contrivance, to link, not to entrap, elation, grief, joy, contrition, entwined, shaking, changing, forever forming, transforming. All praise to the great web. Nikos Kazantzakis wrote this: I said to the almond tree, sisters, speak to me of God, and the almond tree blossomed. My friend and colleague, Barbara Peskin, writes, I say God and mean everything that is not me, that I do not control, and that is much. I say God's voice and mean speech in its broadest and most inclusive sense. Flowers, trees, weathers of all kind, lost dust motes in thin winter sun, cat's tongue on my eyelid, grief, a hand on my elbow, freesia, sudden joy, the radiating warmth and smell of a baby's head, any voice that gets all the way into me and says, stop. What you thought was all is not all there is. Look here also, wiggling its fingers. And here too, look, you are alive to this now. There's a universal human need, it seems, to find some image, some name for that which is eternal, is holy and whole, so profoundly large and yet so still and small. We need a name to cry out in our deepest despair, a voice to listen for in our moments of doubt, a presence to thank when overcome with joy. What is that for you? What would you draw if asked to create an image of God, of the eternal? What poem would you write? And that was Reverend Ann Feltenheim. And so, since this was a short one, I thought it would be interesting to hear if any of you have, thoughts on what you think God or some, divine thing is, or if you don't think of it at all, if you think it's just a connection between people or anything like that. I guess if you want to raise your hand or to speak.
Mike, you got your hand up?
You're muted. There you
Okay. When I think of God, I think of the mystery. And for me, the mystery comes from science, like mathematics, the fact that mathematics works so well together. And it's just so amazing to me. And when I took a class at Khan Academy once of cellular respiration, and as Saul Khan was going through all the details, it's just so incredible that life works like that. And that's where I find the inspiration of God.
Yeah, for sure. I see that in math too. Diane?
Yeah, I have a similar thing. What I've been doing in this time that I have with a lot of freedom is watching videos from the World Science Festival, and it does reaffirm my faith. And in the mystery, that mystery is there. I also, as your reading said, I also practice remembering that there is more, that the mystery in science means that there can be lots of mystery. Right. So I also enjoy using the science that we're learning, the newest discoveries, in remembering the degree of connectedness we probably do have with each other and with the world, which brings me back to the Buddhist and other spiritualities concept that we are all one. And so I have delight in thinking along those lines. And I love the science that people are doing in, I watched one video on the World Science Festival about plant communication, the way things that don't have brains communicate.
Oh, yeah.
It was delightful. It was really delightful. It made me pull out my, one of my Buddhist books to read about cultivating the connection with all things, particularly nature. And so I just find it delightful. I'm grateful for the internet to be able to find things like that.
Linda?
Yes, I'm looking at the picture that you have online right now. It looks like it's probably in Arizona because there's a cactus with the mountain in the distance. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of view, I don't think of God, but I think of the fullness that's in me and my possibility and the possibilities of all the people in the world being together. And this is the kind of, it's a scene, but it's the kind that I feel uplifted when seeing things like this. My faith is, like a lot of you, in the science. I don't think there's actually going to be mysteries. The mystery is what we don't know yet, but it's all there to be eventually known, is my thinking on that, but I don't dwell on it. My everyday life, my goal and my mission here is to not harm, to bring people together as best I can, and not harm anyone, and be for peace and non-creedal. I always have to go with that, but and I get excited. I hardly know anything about quantum physics other than what Blaze, my great-grandson, has explained to me. But, to me, that's opening up all kinds of possibilities as far as us communicating person to person and brain to brain. Right. And so that's kind of my rambling thoughts on what's around us. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Anyone else? Emily? I'll go. For me, it's kind of course. Well, for me, it's kind of a mixture of what y'all have said already. It's kind of like there's so much elegance in the way that the world works, just with math and science, but also, it's almost as if designed that way, right? There's kind of like hints of something, at least to me, I don't know, that's what it looks like. And so that kind of mixed with just these little moments that they kind of mentioned at the end, like, you know, being with a baby and feeling the warmth of their head and smelling them, or like, you know, even for me, just making coffee in the morning, it's kind of become this experience. And, you know, there's lots of little moments like that that kind of bring you to this eternal experience. And kind of one of those that's most common that people talk about is just feeling the oneness and connection with a lot of people. And that's where I see a lot of it. So yeah, that's me. If no one else wants to speak, move on. Bruce, you have your hand up, but I don't know if that's just a reminder from before. Probably is. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to say we all should be muted, but we can all sing this together. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and in this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and in this we live. All right, and Bruce is going to play. And if any of you would like to donate through the PayPal, you can click the. Well, I don't know if you can actually click this. I can send it if you
You can click it in chat.
Oh, you put it? Okay.
I put it in chat. It'll go to the homepage. You Lala, where you can make a donation.
By the way, that was Desperados, but it wasn't the Eagles' Desperados. It's an old folk song.
Okay. Can y'all still see my screen?
I'm busy donating with PayPal,
Okay.
so I can't see.
Whenever you're ready, Diane.
It's the little circle is turning.
Okay.
Okay, it's done.
All right. If we could
I
all
donated. Yay, me.
say this together. Extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth,
Not the light of
the
truth,
warmth of
the
community,
warmth of
or
community,
the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. So we have some announcements. Diane is going to be offering the UUA Tapestry of Faith religious education class over Zoom called Facing Death with Life. And you can email her about that if you'd like to attend. Do you have are you going to try to do it on a special date or just wait until someone?
I was going to wait to see when people were interested in it. It could be like a Sunday school class. It could be before or after church.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Since it is a Sunday school class, kind of.
Oh. Linda, was offering if people are interested in attending the AA Freethinkers and Agnostics Zoom meeting on Wednesday. What time is that, Linda? Oh wait, you're muted. Wait, hold up, Linda. Okay.
Okay, it's from 6 to 7, and we also are having the Saturday meeting at the same time.
Okay. Awesome. I believe we're still matching Move the Mindset donations up to $250.
Yeah, we aren't even close to that amount, so we're looking for donations.
Gotcha. And then we still need a delegate, potentially. I don't know if they're, depending on what happens, but for General Assembly in Rhode Island, or you can be off-site, which probably is more likely at this point.
Who do we apply for that through the fellowship, or do we go directly to the UA?
Well, to be
a delegate, an off-site delegate.
Well, you'd come to the board and say, I want to be a delegate because I'll be getting the credentials. I had canceled my in-person. I'm not going to GA in person. I presume I'll be signing up to be an off-site delegate, but I haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
And the board meeting is Tuesday at 7 in this Zoom space.
Awesome.
Did you say 7?
Wait, no, I meant 6. Sorry,
6.
I meant 6. I have a question. Is anybody helping Mary get on to Zoom? Is she having trouble?
I did help her 2 weeks ago. We came in at the end of the service 2 weeks ago. So she does know how to do it.
Okay, I'll email her. I'll send that.
Yeah, she's downloaded the software.
Okay. All right. Sorry to interrupt everything.
That's okay. So next week will be Scott. And he's reading Likeness to God. That's one of the Touchstone sermons. And then Evan Bryant had volunteered for the 19th.
We do actually have a title for that.
Oh, okay.
Which is Crossroads of Self-Realization. Scott just posted that for her.
Cool. Thanks. Scott left here a Earth Day Eco Challenge, which you can, if you go to the order of service online, you can click this link and it'll bring you, it's also on the announcements right up. And then 6, still tentative, I think, but we're going to have our congregational meeting service time.
We're planning on that. Yeah.
And officers, and if you would like to nominate someone, contact Diane.
We also need 2 other people to be, well, at least one other person to be on the nominating committee. And those are elected positions.
You're saying we need to get someone on the committee with Diane?
There's supposed to be a chair and 2 other people. And according to the bylaws, the nominating committee positions are elected.
Who elects?
So the congregation does.
Oh, for next year, you're saying?
For next year. Diane has offered to continue as chair. I have offered to serve on the committee. So we need at least one other person to be on the nominating committee. To run for nominating committee.
Yeah, gotcha. Cool.
I'd like to go back up to the Earth Day Echo Challenge.
Uh-huh.
I did an Echo Challenge last summer, and I'm just going to say it is very beneficial. I, at the risk of being judged, I learned how to live without toilet paper. So I haven't bought toilet paper since June of last year.
Nice.
And I've not contracted any diseases, nor does my house smell bad.
No.
So there's a lot to be learned in those eco challenges, including how to say the word correctly. I don't know if it's eco challenge or echo challenge, but I just wanted to say you can learn a lot of interesting things that you might not have thought of on your own. But when the idea came up that people were having there was a run on toilet paper, I was like, not my problem.
Right.
Just letting you know, you can learn a lot from them, those challenges.
Could I just say one thing?
Sure.
Yeah, getting back to MTM, the Move the Mindset Challenge. You can do that online with the PayPal, but do let me know that it's for Move the Mindset if you do. And then I'll credit them with it so we can match.
Right.
You can put a note in, right? You can put
Yeah,
a note.
you can put a note in, but it'd also be good to email me as well, just to
Okay.
make sure.
Good idea.
Mike put a note in the chat.
Oh, Mike, you want to talk?
Yeah,
Oh, about
I wanted to
Passover.
mention that Passover begins this week on Wednesday evening, and it runs through Thursday the 16th in the evening. And we've traditionally had a Seder at church. Of course, we can't do that now, but I think we should take the opportunity to wish our Jewish friends well during the Passover, and also perhaps contact Bruce and thank him for having done the Seder for so many years.
Good idea.
Yeah. Which Bruce is that?
Bruce Cohen. Bruce Cohen.
Cool. Well, if no one else has got anything, we can finish up. And just, if someone, maybe Bill would want to lead us, we can all sing this together. Maybe muted though, because it gets a little crazy. You have to unmute, Bill. See if I can get you. Do you see unmute?
You ready for me to go?
Yep, if you're ready.
May I who live be true unto my being, one in my thoughts, my words and every deed. I was born free, an ever-changing river is what I am, and neighbor, so are you. We have the power through laughter, love, and tears to face all fears and live forever
free. Thank you.
We're doing it somehow.
We receive. May we go forth now to share the bounty of our love.
Mike Walden, you were really getting into it.
Okay.
By the way, I have a couple of other things to share. I saw an excellent DVD this week. All is True, about Shakespeare after he goes home to his family. And it's excellent. I'll be glad to share it if anybody would like to borrow it.
All is true. Is that what you said?
All is true.
See y'all next week, guys, at least.
Bye, my
Okay,
dear.
Sure
then.
thing.
Bye, Linda.
Bye all. I'm leaving now.
Take it
Okay,
easy.
bye, Bruce.
Bye. Stay healthy.
Two.
Okay.
So I will see many of you here at 6 o'clock on Tuesday. And
Okay.
we'll figure out how we're going to do the voting, what the slate's going to be, and how we're going to do the voting. And that's going to be most of the meeting. I can't think of anything else that's really pressing.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So if we want to add something to the agenda, we send it to Mike.
Send it to me and Mike.
Okay.
And
I'll
we'll
try
go
to
from
get an
there.
agenda ready.
Okay. Well, mostly what I have, Mike, is the election, which is the slate and the method
Yeah.
whereby the voting's going to be done. And whatever reports we have.
Yeah.
And we'll
Maybe
go from
plan